Second part is going to be open house format. As you can see, there is a lot of information all around the room. So the first part, we're going to do a brief overview presentation, okay? That's just going to give you a little bit about what the committee's been working on, where they are right now with this project. Then we're going to stop the televised portion and open it to the open house format, where you can get up, go around to all of these boards and talk to the committee members one-on-one, ask all the questions you want, give them all the feedback that you want. When you're done, make sure you fill out a comment card at the back, any information that you want to get to the committee on your way out. Maybe you forgot to share with them before you leave. There's comment cards back there you can share as well. All of the information that's on these boards will be put up on the website tomorrow. If you've not visited our website yet, the Town of Webster website, at the very top of the screen, there's a tab called About Us. If you click on that, you'll see a section for the Sandbar Park project. There's also a dedicated Facebook page as well. All of this information will be available on those sites tomorrow. That way you can look at them as often as you want, in more detail as you want, whatever works for you. If you don't get around to all of them tonight, it will be available tomorrow for you to peruse at your leisure, okay? All right, so we're going to start with just an overview presentation, and then you'll be able to get the next 2 hours to roam around and enjoy, okay?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Mark Yeager. I'm the Commissioner of Parks and Recreation for the Town of Webster. So welcome. This evening, you're going to hear and see all the things that a 9-member committee has been working on for the past year. And this is a high-level, first-round blush at some options for the development of Sandbar Park. We've been working closely with Bear Landscape Architects and Passero Associates, and they will be giving a lot of information this evening. You can talk with them directly about what is on these placards, and we have comments cards. As Karen said in the back, please fill some out. At this point, I'll turn it over to Mark, and he can get us rolling.
I think I'm mic'd up. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Well, don't want you to get too comfortable, because tonight really is about the open house, and we really want you to, this to be sort of an interactive process where you move around the room. We have a lot of research and background that we've done in the way of history, environmental restrictions, kind of looking at all the existing conditions of the site, and that's months of work that we've worked with the committee on, the Citizen Advisory Committee, and with Passero Associates, our partners in the project. And what you see here tonight is sort of that preliminary phase. But I want to stress, we are like at least 1 year away from finishing plans. And the reason we have you here tonight is because we're early enough in the process that it's meaningful to get your input at this point. We don't want to bring back plans that are done and ask you, what do you think? So this is really about your opportunity to give us as much feedback as possible, to look over some of the background we've done. You know this place better than we do, and we want to hear, how you use it, what you've done here, what you do and don't like about this place, and that's really why we've gathered you here tonight. And again, we put the background together for you, just so some things you may learn tonight as well about history and environmental restrictions and so on. But really this meeting is about you and giving us your feedback. One of the things I want to say is early on when I looked at this project, I went to the site, and I hadn't been there in years. I'm a Rochester native, but I hadn't been down to this site in quite a while. And as a landscape architect coming back and looking at it, I was just awestruck. I was absolutely amazed by this piece of land and how we have this majestic, powerful Lake Ontario on the north side, and we've got this incredibly contrasting, beautiful, tranquil, romantic bay on the other side on this little strip of land, and it's all right there. And this project is really about taking this jewel and making it even better and more suited to, this community's use of it. So just to give you a quick rundown on what we've been doing, working with our partners in the project. Passero Associates is one of our engineering and architectural partners, and working with the Citizens Advisory Committee. I think we have 8 or 10 members on that committee. We've basically done about 5 or 6 things to date. It's a 12-acre site that we mapped in detail. Passero helped with that. They did complete topographic mapping surveys, so we have good, really great base information to begin the process. We also did, as I've mentioned a couple of times, we did a lot of research. We looked at the history of this place from very early on, going back to the 1600s, and right up to into the early 19th and 20th century. We've kind of gathered a lot of information about it, which I'll share a little bit with you in more detail. The other thing we've done is we, as part of our process, we always take a very serious look at the existing conditions. What are the issues that we see out here? We're coming at it with fresh eyes, and so the immediate thing I saw is, wow, you got this great place, but it's so undefined. There's no definition between vehicular and pedestrian circulation. It's a free-for-all out there in terms of cars, bikes, pedestrians. So we looked at the existing conditions a lot. We studied as I mentioned, environmental issues. We studied some of the traffic patterns, parking, vegetation, the wetlands. So that's all part of that research phase that we did with our group. And then, then one of the things we did is with the town had kind of had a preliminary list of what we call technically program items in our design world. What it basically means is just what are the potential features that we could hear. So like a shopping list of what do we want here, what's possible here. And this is really one of the things we want your help with, because again, you are the users, you are the community, and that's where we really need to have you help us. So we have a preliminary list. We want to build on that. We want you to say, oh, absolutely not, we don't want that, or you forgot this. That's part of what we want to do tonight. The other thing we've done is we've started just to diagram relationships from that early list that we had of these key features. So we've put on my left here some preliminary, what I would call bubble diagrams or relationship diagrams, which begin to say, okay, if we're going to have a boat launch, you might need to have parking next to the boat launch. If you're going to improve circulation along Lake Road going east, we may need more space, or we're going to have to go out and do some kind of boardwalk along there. So we've begun to diagram relationships, but again, I want to stress that we are probably 12 months from finishing what I would call a finished plan. So this is the time where we need to really hear from you and get your input and help us make this the best park we can make it. I really think, and I said this from day one, it's a real jewel that you've got in this community, and I think it's even going to become much more of a destination for Webster. I really believe that as these improvements are made, and again, I think with your help, what I really want is I wanted to make it very much a Webster park. I mean Webster County Park, I mean a Webster Community Park that's very special to you. And some of that history that we have is one way in which we can do that, and these unbelievable natural resources, this juxtaposition of bay and lake together on this narrow strip of land, that's going to make it very special. So all of these boards you see, again, I'm just going to touch on these briefly, but this board here is, you'll have fun with this. This is photographs of early history. This place has been a recreation haven, as many of you know, for generations. We've got, you know, fishermen at the turn of the century out there in their Sunday best. I assume they're playing hooky from church or something. They're dressed to the T and they're out there at the inlet fishing. We've got unbelievable contraptions of, you know, motorized ice boats. We've got sail-powered ice boats. You know, picnicking going on. We know there's a long history of commerce down here with the rail. There was reed harvesting, there was a business, there was ice cutting, there's all kinds of wonderful history that we found at this place. This board here talks a little bit about some of those existing conditions, relationships I was speaking to. It talks about the need for clarification in pedestrian and vehicular and bicycle circulation. It shows kind of the existing conditions, cross sections of what's going on out there. And it, you know, it throws out the idea of, you know, wouldn't this eastern corner of the bay be an amazing environmental education area? And I think we have, I believe, a science teacher on our committee, and he's been really interested in that. And then, you know, here's what I was talking about before. There's a list of what we call in the design world program items. Again, it's nothing more than potential features, the shopping list of features that might go into this park. This is what I, again, would love you to look at carefully, say, hey, we missed this, we want that. We have some, I don't want anybody to be confused about photographs that we have on some of these boards. These are what we call, we put out here as inspiration photos. They're just to get a picture in your mind. They're not exactly what we're doing. They're just ideas, and it's just to generate, you know, conversation and thinking about what could be. Nothing more than that. Don't construe it to be that's what we're doing. That's not what we're doing. It's just ideas. These are some of the boards that begin to take some of that program information or that park features, potential park features, and put it into what I call like a diagram, bubble diagram or relationship diagram. You know, it's talking about, you know, having a full-on trail or walk possibly along the bay side, where right now we've got places where there's hardly a shoulder. And we want to ask you, one thing I'd like to just mention to everybody is we'd like to ask you to consider one very important thought that's come out of the group. And that is because the edge of Lake Road here is currently so tight to the bay, there's almost no place to, you can't even hardly walk along there. We have an idea that the committee came up with. You know, what if we considered an option where, you know, and this diagram starts to talk to that. What if we considered an option where we push Lake Road further north, and all of a sudden, in this stretch where you can't walk today, we get beautiful space to have a bike lane or trail or walk, and it's you know, those moves are not inexpensive. This process is, I want to tell you, it is probably at least 3-year process beyond finishing the plans. And the plans won't be finished until probably a year from today, as I mentioned. Then we have probably at least 3 years of phased construction, because this is a big project and it's going to cost money, and we're going to have to go out and get lots of grant money to fund this, and it'll take time to do this, but we're going to do it once in a lifetime, so we obviously want to do it well. But I just want you to think about things like that, just any other ideas you have. That was a great idea that came out of the committee process, that maybe we could move the road over so we have space to actually walk along the bay there. So This is just a taste of the boards. We have also a place where we'd like you to go up to one or two of the stations and actually indicate of some of the early program or the features that we've mentioned. We would love you to just kind of rate your preferences and tick off the ones you think, hey, we should include. And throw up Post-it notes. We have comment cards. Again, this evening is really about, before we go into real design, we're not in real design right now. We're in that research sort of relationship diagram stage. The next stage, we'll start to put concept plans together, which will start to really give form to things. But this is the time for your input. And with the way the room is set up right now, we're going to move some of these history boards over to the I guess that's the back of the room. We're going to move them over there. And then we're going to have one station with kind of the history and research along the back wall. And then we're going to have two stations with some of these idea boards, one over at the end there. And then we're going to keep this one over here. So there's 6 or 8 of us at least here. We're going to be answering questions all evening. Like I said, this is an open house. I probably said way too much, but I hope it's at least giving you a taste of what we've been doing and what we're trying to do. And love to have your comments and conversation. And that's about it for the introduction. Yes?
I have a suggestion. You might want to have all the board members, or the committee members, stand up so people know who is on the committee if they want to ask
That would be
questions.
great if all of you could rise and introduce yourselves or say hello.
Well, there's a few that are standing already. Great.
My name is Barry Dean. I'm a Webster Town Councilman, and I'm the liaison to this committee.
Thank you. This is
We might as well go around and introduce. I'm Larry Peckham. I'm just a resident. I live on Lake Road. I was involved in the Open Space Committee when we put a referendum to preserve farmland and parkland. This purchase of this particular property came before we were really into our project. Thank goodness, because it was a beautiful piece to save. I think the alternative, I don't know how many of you remember, but 2002 to 2004 kind of time period, there was a good chance that this would have been developed into townhouses, and I don't think we really needed townhouses at that spot, so I was glad when I think Ron and Kathy Thomas decided to go ahead and take a chance and actually buy this outright just to protect it. So here we are 15 years later, we're finally getting around to the idea, well, maybe there's something more we should do with this other than just leave it exactly the way it was.
My name is Joe Monachino. I'm a resident here in Webster in a subdivision off of Lake Road. I'm also part of the ProStar Committee, which is the Park Recreation, Open Space, and Athletic Review Board. So here, for the rest of the night, are there any questions? Yes.
Rob?
I'm Rob Amberzetti. I'm on the Sandbar committee as well. Thank you all for coming out tonight.
I'm Mary Beth Conway, a Webster resident, also on the committee. Happy to serve.
I'm John Zakari, Webster resident. I'm on the ProSAR committee as well.
Phil?
Phil Migliorati, I'm a resident of Webster, and I live on Oklahoma Beach on the Sandbar.
Miss anybody?
Any question? Is there anybody here from that little restaurant? It used to be Jack Daniels, and then it was
Rob? Tom?
the Bayside, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Rob.
Why don't you stand up?
Because
Were
leased
you on
that
the
now,
committee,
right?
Rob?
Now?
Oh, I didn't think so.
All right, well,
Can I say something right after that? I've spoken to Dan. I'm concerned that I looked at the board and there's nothing that says restaurant on there. And I'm venturing to guess that a lot of people are here because they want to comment on a restaurant. And if it's not even listed, or a picture of a restaurant, is one of those pictures, I'm already suspect of the process.
Okay, excuse me, 1 second. We gotta change this from question and answer, because that's not the way the format is. Really, what we wanted to be able to do is what was stated, is for everybody to get up, walk around, look at these. Please leave your comments on, talk to the folks, you can leave your comments with them, but please leave them on the card in the back.
Will there be a question and answer session?
There will not be yes, a question and answer session to anybody you want to talk to individually, but not in a big group.
And we do have information.
It's been a big topic of conversation at every meeting.
Yes, so
And we've already discussed this with Tom and Rob. So we've met them already.
So we really want to get this into the next phase, so you have more time to interface directly with the folks that have been involved in the process. All right, thank you. Let's get up and enjoy the picture.
It's the only one on the day.
My name's Courtney. I work in Democrat Chronicle. I think I watched last night.
I